السلام حياة قد جاء في القرآن أن السلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to iTREND on ITV. I'm your host, Zaheerah Bham Ismail. It's absolutely fabulous to be back in studio and to be live on air again. Jazakallah so much for all the feedback, the comments, and for supporting us through these last two seasons. This has been a welcome season and a good start to the year. Last week we had Khalid Fauda and Nasima Lahe telling us how to make the most of the year and how to engage ourselves to make sure we give the best of ourselves through the year. So today we decided to start with something on a positive note. People that are building up in our community, who are showcasing many remarkable people, but who within themselves are also remarkable people. I'd like to welcome to our studio the proudly Muslim South African team. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Fehmina Khan and Huzaifa Adamji, it's such a pleasure to have you here. You are representing proudly Muslim South Africa. For people who are on social media, we've seen the name everywhere, but many of my viewers are not necessarily on social media. So tell us a little bit about what Proudly Muslim South Africa does, or who you are first.
Okay, so Proudly Muslims of South Africa is a platform where we showcase the positive contributions of Muslim organizations and Muslim individuals to the South African society. So,
what was the need to start an organization like this? I mean, we have seen so many organizations that are Muslim-based throughout South Africa and doing phenomenal work, absolutely remarkable work. Why did you find there was a need to almost come up with a brand that would showcase this a little further?
The need for this was mainly unity. So there's a lot of good happening with Muslim people, but we wanted to put a symbol behind it, almost a symbol of Muslim philanthropy for other people, especially non-Muslims, to recognize and to, when they see the Proudly Muslims logo, to know that this is good happening by Muslims for South Africa. So it was mainly about creating the unity.
So it's a unifying brand that hopefully, as we all come together and have a bigger impact, can also change negative perceptions that people may have about Muslims.
I want to come back to that because I think there's so many topics to discuss around that.
Sure.
But my question is, who are both of you first? And how did you get involved in this? What is your role in Proudly Muslims of South Africa?
Okay, so I'm the executive coordinator for Proudly Muslims in South Africa, and we have a team which I manage behind the scenes.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm Huzaifa Adamji. So Proudly Muslims was started by the Adamji Foundation, which is my family and which I'm part of. And that's how I got involved with Proudly Muslims.
I think the one thing that stood out so remarkably for me is when I've met with the family is how strong everybody believes into the concept and how everybody wants to give back. Who started the initial idea?
The initial idea was actually my brother's idea, Adil, and it was, like I mentioned before, to create this united symbol of Muslim philanthropy, basically. So he actually had the initial idea.
So we're giving him due credit for this.
Yeah, credit where it's due.
You mentioned now about profiling all these Muslim organizations, and we spoke about the amount of negative perceptions about it and putting a unifying brand. In a country like South Africa, there have been aspects of Islamophobia rearing its head. Do you think initiatives like Proudly Muslims of South Africa actually help to combat those, because we're actually showing how much Muslims are giving back into communities?
I do think so, because, you know, we show that there's a lot of negative media out there, especially in mainstream media. So we need to combat that with positive information. And that's where we come in here, where an organization is maybe having a fundraiser or some sort of charitable event. We will cover that story, put it on our website, put it on our social media pages, and hopefully as a unifying network, we can try to support each other to have a greater impact.
Fantastic. How long ago did Proudly Muslim South Africa start?
So we started in around May 2017, so we're not even a year old yet.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
But it's remarkable, for having started in May 2017, the footprint is already so large. So many people know about it already. What has been the vision or the driving force behind that?
So it is about coming together. And, you know, we're not asking for anything. We're trying to give to everybody. So we want all these organizations, all these Muslim people to use our logo when they're giving a donation. Take our sticker, put it on your donation. take our logo, put it on your website so that you can showcase all the positive contributions. So we're not really asking for anything, and I think that's what has made it popular, you know. By affiliating with other organizations also, we're showcasing what they're doing. So, yeah.
I have to say to you that when I first got a call saying Proudly Muslim South Africa has come up and they'd like to endorse whatever is being done and be a part of it, and I had spoken to Mayor Teba at that point, and I thought, but nobody gives anything for free. There has to be something we're missing out here, because why would any organization want to just come and do something for the benefit of other people without it benefiting them? And for a long while, I actually tried to figure out what was the catch behind the whole thing.
Right.
So all of the organizations out there, if it's something that you feel that could benefit you and could network, please do get in touch with them. There is no catch behind it. It literally is just to unify brands, to make sure that the Muslim community is seen and is seen as a proudly Muslim community, and it's unified. And I think you've done pretty well with regards to that. Huzaifa, in terms of being part of the Adamji group, being part of the family, how has the involvement been from a personal perspective? You're young.
Yeah.
And this is something that is being foreseen by or being developed by your older brothers, by your older siblings. How has it been from your role in being a youth? Do you see a reason for this? Do you see that there's a purpose for this?
Actually, you'll be surprised to know that a lot of the people and the organizations that we work with and collaborate with are driven by youth and are quite young organizations, young startups. So for me, it's very easy to integrate. I think even easier than for the rest of my family, because like it's easier to get along with the youth and stuff like that. And I also think youth are more open to working together to build each other up. So for me, it's been a pleasure to get involved. Yeah.
And what have been the difficulties that you found along the way that you think are things that you could be able to overcome at some point, but just as the initial starter?
I think unfortunately, when you think of the word Muslim, or rather when other people think of the word Muslim, there are a lot of negative connotations that come about. And I remember when we started, we tried a Facebook ad to promote Proudly Muslims, and there was the response wasn't as positive from non-Muslim people, which wasn't something we were very proud to see initially. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing going through. South Africa is a very small Muslim population, but the small population is doing so much, so much good and making such a difference. And I really want to allow everybody else to see the good that's happening. So for me, that's what I'd want to achieve from this and what I'd want to change, to change the perception of others.
So basically, we're changing narratives.
We are.
Hopefully.
Fantastic. I always say that with being such a small community, the footprint is exceptionally large. We're making inroads in almost every aspect. And I love the fact that this organization literally takes that, boosts it, and profiles it even further, and lets the reach get even higher.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, even individuals out there, there are organizations, but there's individuals out there that are doing so much work. I think no matter which small town you go to in South Africa, you will find somebody that is doing something, but nobody knows about it.
Absolutely.
I think we're taught humility and to be humble, and that is why, you know, it's not broadcast.
I think, you know, just offhand, I know that many of the ladies that I work with, I know Fatima Jassat Fiza, who's from Azadville, Yasmin Bamji Musa, who's in Zanin, we've got Salima and Ranaz in Brits. Those are women who are doing remarkable work every single day, but nobody will ever hear about the extent to how much they're doing, and organizations like this will give them that platform.
Yes, for sure.
Fantastic.
For sure, yeah.
I understand why Huzaifa is involved in this. I have to ask you from a personal perspective, why would you want to be involved in an organization like this or in a brand like this?
You know, I think it comes down to being Muslim. You know, to see all the negative media out there about Muslims, it doesn't feel good, you know, when you see that on TV. And I think we need to start promoting what is positive about Islam and what is positive about our ummah. And that's what made me passionate about the brand. So yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit later about what have been your favorite articles and profiles soon. What do you find would be where you'd want to see Proudly Muslim South Africa for the next year? I mean, this has just started in 2017. I must be honest, I actually thought it must have been far longer than that, because last year was a huge imprint. We saw Proudly Muslim South Africa everywhere, on every posting, it was coming up on search pages. There was always something about it. And we'll talk about your collaborations in a little while.
Sure.
But where would you like to see yourself in this year? I mean, you've achieved a lot in 2017. Where do you see yourself in 2018?
I think for me personally, we've done really well in Johannesburg, but I think we want to really broaden ourselves to the rest of South Africa and bring awareness to all of the good and all of the charitable work that's happening in Cape Town, in Durban, in the whole country.
Yes.
So I think really expansion to the rest is what we're looking for.
Fantastic. And from your side, from the official side of the brand, I mean, how are you going to be able to make that reach happen?
So that will be through our affiliates, through people. We want, we look at this as a community brand. It's not our brand. This logo belongs to the Muslim Ummah. And so they need to take it and use it. And they can come to us, say, we need a sticker, we'd like to partner with you, we want your logo to go up on our website. So we want to do it through our affiliates, through organizations, to get everybody together to start, pushing this idea.
So for the many organizations that are out there, or for the many individuals who are also doing work that are saying, you know what, I do actually want to be endorsed, how do they actually go about getting that done?
So they can contact us. We've got a Facebook page, we've got an Instagram page, we've got an email address, phone number, go to our website, contact us however you feel comfortable, and we're open to discussions.
Fantastic. We're going to be taking a very quick ad break. When we come back, we'll be chatting to the team again about collaborations that they've had over the past year and what their favorite interviews have been. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back after that quick ad break. We're chatting to the Proudly Muslim South African team, Fahmida Khan and Huzaifa Adamji, and they're telling us all about the remarkable work that they've been doing, that they've just started last year, but the impact and the footprint has been huge in terms of endorsing what Muslim organizations are doing and profiling how prolific Muslim organizations are in South Africa and how we're giving back. When we chat about Muslims in South Africa, there is this perception that it's just an Indian thing. Is Proudly Muslim South Africa ensuring that you get into other areas and you're getting into all diverse communities where all Muslims are basically profiled, not just Indian Muslims?
Yes, absolutely, because we aren't only Indian. There's such diversity in our religion, and one example is Oma Majola. She is a lady in Kliptown in Soweto. We've profiled her. Amazing woman. She's a revert to Islam, and she's got a creche and a daycare center for kids that are from disadvantaged homes. She's doing amazing work over there. So yes, we do across the board. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. And that's also good, because I think it also shows that Islam in South Africa is not an Indian religion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's a mindset that maybe non-Muslims might have, especially in South Africa.
Yes.
Because in fact, it was her in her interview that actually said that before she reverted, she thought that Islam was an Indian religion. So after her son actually got introduced to Islam and he reverted to Islam, she saw a change in his behavior, and that's how she reverted. So yeah, it was an amazing story.
Fantastic. Tell me a little bit about the collaborations that have taken place over the last year, because I think we've also seen your organization grow and your profile grow because of very strategic collaborations and alliances. Tell us a little bit about that.
For me, my favorite collaboration, because I think it in some ways the most impactful, was with a company called New Beginnings. They're based in Pretoria, and basically what they do is they take in babies who are abandoned, essentially. So they have post boxes set up, and if you are unable to care for your child for whatever reasons it may be, you can go and anonymously leave your baby in one of these like baby post boxes types of things. And they then take in the baby, look after the baby, and try and get the baby adopted or into a caring home. And for me, I thought that's very literally changing somebody's life forever.
Absolutely.
Because some people unfortunately don't have the means or are just not ready to be parents and to look after a child. So that was my favorite organization that we worked with.
And I must
for
say,
sure.
it's the first I've heard of this organization, and I had no idea that it was a Muslim-based organization at all, providing that kind of service.
Exactly, and that's the point of our platform. You know, we didn't know about it either, and now that it's on our website, it can get more publicity and it can get more support, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, getting onto your website also provides a platform for legitimate organizations that you have then seen, made sure that they are okay, which then get uploaded to the website. So if somebody would like to make a donation, checking your website means that those organizations listed there are already checked and verified.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is fantastic, because I think many of us worry about where we're giving our funds and to make sure that it is to legitimate organizations. And I think this is a wonderful way to know that it's already been sorted and taken care of.
Yes. Yeah.
Your favorite collaborations?
So I think our strongest collaboration thus far has been with accidentalmuslims.com.
One of our favorite teams.
Yes, of course, Khalil and Zahir. And so what we've done with them is we've partnered with them. They needed a base in Johannesburg, so we're assisting them with their activities here in Johannesburg, and they'll assist us with Cape Town and Durban and around the country, getting more stories and more organizations to come onto our platform.
And that's fantastic, because your reach actually goes far wider as well.
Yes, absolutely.
If there are people and viewers who want to get in touch with you, because they'll be watching this saying, you know what, I know I can do something. Is it just for organizations, or is it open to individuals as well?
It's open to individuals as well, absolutely. So if you know of somebody that you think needs to be profiled, please contact us. We'll be happy to do it.
It's not just charity work. It's also profiles of people who are just doing remarkable work in their own capacity.
Yeah, well, we're focusing more on humanitarian work, so any type of philanthropic work or social work, then yes, absolutely.
Huzaifa, do you see that the youth have a strong identity with Islam? Do you think that it's something they're not shying away from, that it's something they want to build in terms of being identified as Muslims? I know post 9/11 for our generation, we wanted to be identified as Muslims, to almost just say, you know, this is who we are and this is what we stand for. What is it like now at your generation?
I think it's definitely something that's growing each day, you know, and especially when you get profiled as being a certain type of thing, like I spoke about the negative connotations of Muslim, it makes you want to show people what good Muslims are and what Muslims are about. And I think that builds a sense of pride and a sense of belonging as well, and makes you want to express your religion even more. And another thing, like I mentioned, we work with a lot of youth, and it just makes you feel so at home and makes you feel so proud to be Muslim when you see other people your age or slightly older or younger doing good things as well. Absolutely. And it makes you want to show everybody your religion and show how Islam is about peace, it's about justice, it's about fairness, and it's about bringing good to other people as well.
With your name being Proudly Muslim South Africa, do you think it's easy at your level, or for us, to be able to marry both identities of being South African and being Muslim? Because for many of us who grew up around apartheid times, you were either Indian or you were black or white, but you were never identified as South African as well. And as we're growing, I see, even with my children, the identities are merging. Do you find that it's easy? And I think it's tied in with your name very well, are we able to merge these identities and be both?
I think now it's the easiest it's ever been. And I definitely think going forward it's only going to become easier, especially for my generation, because there's so much unity. I go to campus and I'm surrounded with people of all different ethnicities and cultures, and everybody unites and they're friendly to one another. And I think this way here it's so much easier to build together.
Yes,
definitely.
That's fantastic to hear, and I think you guys are doing a fabulous job of that as well. Pamela, I have to ask you, I know you've been very involved with doing many of the interviews, but from all the interviews that you've done from people, whether it's been in Durban or in Cape Town, what has stood out for you the most in terms of what has been not just necessarily a favorite, but something that has maybe been the same through all, or something that you've identified that makes these people successful? What has stood out for you the most?
I think it has to be their passion for what they're doing. Every person that I've interviewed, and some of them have been very emotional interviews, has gone through either some sort of difficulty or has seen some sort of difficulty. And that has brought them to this action of helping people and trying to do good for others. So I think it's that humility, that humbleness that they have, and their passion for helping others. That's what it has been.
Alhamdulillah. So now we know what the trigger factors are to make sure we succeed, inshallah.
Absolutely.
What would you want? Tell us your rollout for this year. What are we able to look forward to as viewers in terms of what's coming up on Proudly Muslims of South Africa?
Okay, so we're going back to our collaboration with accidentalmuslims.com. We have a Joburg conference that's coming up in April.
Okay.
On the 21st of April. So we hope that everybody will buy tickets.
Tell us a little bit about this conference.
So Accidental Muslims profiles a lot of amazing Muslims out there that are doing great things. So we've partnered with them to formulate this conference. And we're going to be showcasing, we've got about 10 speakers lined up, and we're going to be showcasing these people. And we hope that young people especially will come to get inspiration from them, to, as accidentalmuslims.com says, live with purpose.
I love that.
So yes, yeah.
And I love the look of it. I did see the pictures of the Cape Town conference, and I'd said to Khalil, it looked like a Muslim TED Talks.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it was very professionally done. And is that what we have to look forward to in Johannesburg as well?
Yes, definitely. We're hoping to have the same standard going forward.
Can we get a sneak peek into who some of the guests would be at the event?
Okay, so we do have the Khan Playground. People should know about them.
Absolutely. If you're on social media, they are living a phenomenal life.
Yes, so they're going to be speakers. And let's see, we've got Farhan Isat. He's a comedian. So that should be very entertaining.
And what I also like about that is that you've got names that many of us hear about but are not very familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's also showcasing an entirely new talent.
Yes.
And which is fantastic, because I'm sure you see it all the time. There's talent around us everywhere, and it's time we showcase this. And I'm assuming also we'll have a lot of the youth factor in it as well.
I certainly hope so, yeah.
Perfect. So this takes place in April. How do people get in touch with you or find out more about this event?
Okay, so the website is still going up, but hopefully by the end of next week, our website will be up, tickets will be on sale, both online, and we'll have physical tickets as well. So you can email info@accidentalmuslims.com, or even you can email info@proudlymuslims.sa.
And our producers will also have those details on hand. So if you are not certain or you've missed it, we'll put it up on our social media pages, and we will have it on air as well, and in studio as well, so you can call through. Huzaifa, what is your long-term role? Where do you see yourself as part of this organization?
I think my long-term role is basically 5-10 years down the line. I want to have completely changed the perception of Muslims in South Africa and greater. It really gets me down when people label Muslims as being terrorists or something of that sort. And I want our Proudly Muslim symbol to become as noticeable as the Proudly South African symbol.
Absolutely.
You know, I want it to become a household name where as soon as somebody sees that blue, they know, okay, this is a symbol of a Muslim organization doing some good.
Yeah.
This is the benefit, this is the goodness that Muslims are bringing to our community, to our country, to our nation. And I really want that to be cemented in the hearts and the homes of everybody as far and wide as possible.
So, and this may not necessarily be a fair question very early on, but as you're saying that, and I think it's absolutely remarkable, because that's exactly where we want it to be. But right now, it's known very well in the Muslim communities. How are we planning on getting that out there so that non-Muslim communities have access to these profiles, to what's being done, so that they easily recognize that sticker as well?
I think sometimes also one of our brand ambassador figures is a man named Bongani, and Fems will tell you more about that. And he's not a Muslim person, and because of that, his demographic is also, his audience rather, are non-Muslim people. And working with him, he learnt about our organization and was very keen to embrace it. And through people like him, it's a lot easier to get our message out to non-Muslim people and to show them and bring them into this world.
Absolutely.
So Fems will tell you a little bit more about him.
Yeah, and I think, he's a ward councillor in our area, and he's had a lot of contact with Muslim people. So I think through non-Muslims that have had contact with Muslims, we're going to get the word out there. But also, if people use our stickers or use our logo when they're giving things to non-Muslim people, that's how it's going to become recognizable.
Absolutely, and your reach will get there.
Yeah.
We have run short on time, unfortunately, and I know there was so much we were still going to discuss. But we will follow your journey closely, and I'm sure we'll be keeping up to date with all the events that are taking place. And your profiles, you can contact all the Proudly Muslim South African team on social media. We will also have their numbers available for you, so you're welcome to call in and find out more about them. But do follow their journey, do follow their story. And as Femida said, no matter where you are in the country, make sure that you are able to get in touch with them, use their stickers, use their platform in order to promote yourself as a Proudly Muslim South African organization. Because not only are you helping them do the work they need to do, but it also gives a little bit more credibility to your own organization. And what's wonderful is it costs you absolutely nothing. So it's fantastic. Jazakallah so much for coming into studio today.
Jazakallah for having
Thank you so much
us.
for having us,
And we
definitely.
look forward to having you here again, chatting about many other things that you are doing.
Inshallah soon.
Definitely. Ameen.
Stay tuned. When we come back, we have another dynamic young lady joining us in studio. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We've been chatting to a remarkable team called the Proudly Muslims of South Africa team. And I think what's remarkable is you hear about the amount of collaborations between the various Muslim organizations that they mentioned on air. And what they were chatting to me afterwards is about Word Couture, a company that has been doing the writing of all the guests that are profiled on, and organizations that are profiled. And if you just read it, you can read how remarkably well it's written. So Umayya and Sam, well done to you. You are doing phenomenal work. But coming back, iTREND is always talking about what is happening in our community, what's trending at the moment. Sometimes those things that are trending are not necessarily always positive. Sometimes they're a little painful, a little bit sad, but it's things that need to be heard, things that need to be spoken about, and things that need to be addressed. And in my studio today, I have a very remarkable, wonderful young lady by the name of Iman Musa. Iman, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the studio.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Iman, you are at WITS and part of the WITS Palestinian Solidarity Committee. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved, and then just to let our viewers know, what we'll be discussing is the Ahad Tamimi campaign, which Iman is a big part of at the moment. Tell me about who you are and how you got involved in the WITS Palestinian Solidarity Committee.
I'm a third-year WITS student, and last year during IAW Week, which is Israeli Apartheid Week, I noticed that events were happening to mobilize students around the Palestinian issue. And seeing that, it really instilled in me a desire to want to actively get involved and seek change for the Palestinian cause, because it's always been so deep to my heart. And seeing that and seeing how students, how we as a youth can try to make a change, that I think that made me want to be a part of the movement as well.
Do you think enough awareness is being raised so that other students like yourself are also feeling it, or do you think yours has come because of your home background or because family around you speaks about it, or do you think this has come just from being at varsity?
My family has always been quite active in wanting to instill in us a desire to create change. But coming into the university space, it definitely resonates with a lot of students that they too can get involved. And especially now around the Ahad Tamimi case, we've tried to mobilize a lot more students. And during during our orientation week last week, there were a lot of students coming up to us and asking us how they too can get involved. So I think it's not just with the background that you have, it's by reading articles online and seeing what other students are doing that enables other students to get involved as well.
I think what stands out for me and what's so remarkable about what you're saying is that many times we always say our generation's growing up in a sense of entitlement, but what's wonderful is when I speak to you, it's such a sense of actually awareness and wanting to do for other people. So this is how you got involved in your third year. Tell us about what the Palestinian Solidarity Committee stands for.
So basically, we want to seek change for the Palestinian cause, active change that will make a difference now and as well as in the long term. So we're all about mobilizing students to get involved, to come to the table, join us in meetings, and help us create new ways that we can perhaps have an impact on the Palestinian cause and with Palestinians on the ground as well.
As a young South African who definitely was not part of the apartheid era at all, why do you feel this need to want to do something? Why is there an awareness when many people would say to you, but it wouldn't really affect you, you living in South Africa, everything is fine for you, your life is comfortable. Why would you feel the need and such a strong need to have a sense of justice?
I think, you know, in most South African schools, they teach you in history about our South African history and about apartheid, and that definitely resonates with a lot of students because we feel that it is our duty to help others who may be going through the same thing, whether it's here or in Palestine, for example. So I think it's definitely close to our hearts because even though we did not necessarily experience it ourselves, but it's a part of our history. So therefore, it's you know, it's our duty to try to change things.
Absolutely. With the Palestinian Solidarity Committee, is this something that's based only at Wits University or throughout the country at all the universities?
We recently got involved with UCT, PSF, the UWC, PSC, and Stellenbosch University, as well as Amnesty Wits. So we've tried to create a national solidarity movement that can enable more change around the country and not just at specific university campuses.
And I think what you need to be aware of is the amount of power within the youth and what lies at the universities amongst these organizations and how powerful and remarkable they can be. So the work that you are doing, and we'll talk about the Ahad Tamimi campaign in particular because that's what we'd like to ask you about. Are people able to access it for people in our generation who want to support your campaign or support the work that you're doing? How are people able to do that?
So for the public to get involved, you can, I think starting off would be trying to educate yourself on the issue, on what's going on. And you can do that via our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our Twitter. We're constantly putting up new content to educate others. And then, if you're a student yourself, you can get involved with us and contact us and get involved with the Palestine Solidarity Committee. Or if you're not a student on campus, you can always contact us and we can tell you of ways that you too can get involved.
Yeah. Iman, what are the social media handles that people are able to contact you on?
So you can look at the Tucson Shamsan Facebook page, as well as the Instagram page and the Twitter page, or the Wits PSC one on Twitter or Facebook.
Fantastic. I think we often underestimate how the work that is being done and how impactful it can be. And recently, just this December, I was in Jerusalem itself, and I think you have no idea what it feels like until you're there and your feet are on that ground and your soul moves, and there's nothing else to describe what that feeling is like. So never underestimate what any efforts are and the reach of these efforts and how remarkable these young people are for being able to take up this and to do something about it. Tell me about, I know before we go to an ad break, we'll start this and then we'll continue with it, but this is what we wanted to know about. For many of our viewers out there, let's start with who is Ahad Tamimi?
Ahad Tamimi is a 17-year-old Palestinian girl from the village of Nabi Saleh in the occupied West Bank. Last year, she came down to South Africa with the Pals for Peace Tucson Shamsan tour to educate youth here on the issue in Palestine, as well as to learn about our own history and how it resonates with the Palestinian cause. She's been very active in her family and in her village itself, with trying every Friday they have protests, and her village is known for their protest action every Friday in Nabi Saleh, and so she's been at the forefront of protests in Nabi Saleh, trying to make change, active change on the ground in Palestine, and I think for Ahad as a young Palestinian girl and as a child, it's something that we as South African students can resonate with as well.
Okay. With that introduction of who Ahad Tamimi is, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be following the story with Iman about what had happened with Ahad Tamimi last year, what her current situation is, and what they are doing as students in order to be able to raise awareness for all of us, so that in order to be able to make a difference for her. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're chatting to Iman Musa from the Wits Palestinian Solidarity Committee, a group that's doing phenomenal work with the Ahad Tamimi campaign. Just before the ad break, Iman was telling us about who Ahad Tamimi is. Iman, coming back to we know who Ahad Tamimi is now. Tell us what happened last year that created so much of panic, literally worldwide, because so many violations were taking place, not human rights, but even children violations.
So on the 19th of December, Ahad Tamimi was arrested and detained for slapping an Israeli soldier. And that came a few minutes after she saw her cousin Mohammed shot in the head at point blank range. And he was put into a medically induced coma. And just before that, Trump released his announcement to say that Jerusalem would be the capital of Israel. And already with that, tensions were so heightened. And the Israeli soldier who Ahad was caught on camera slapping, he had actually trespassed onto her family home, and he wanted to use it as a vantage point in which to shoot at neighboring Palestinian villages. So that, I think, it came as such a shock to the international community, because you have a Palestinian minor, a child who's being arrested and detained for slapping an Israeli soldier who, he's in the wrong himself. And it's not just with Ahad, because it's with numerous Palestinian children who have been arrested and detained, minors. She's one of 400 Palestinian children who is arrested and who are physically and psychologically interrogated within these detention centers.
Actually, we don't even know about these 400. We hear about Ahad Tamimi and we know her because of the Shamsan work that's been done. What happens to these other children that have been detained who become nameless?
That's definitely something that the campaign would like to focus on. Uncle Basim, Ahad's father, has spoke to her, and she would, as much as the focus is on Ahad, she would like our focus to also be on the various other Palestinian children prisoners who are detained. For example, Fawzi al-Junaidi was detained last year, but he was released on bail. There were numerous photos going around of him blindfolded by Israeli soldiers. And Shadi Farah, he has been arrested as well. He's a 12-year-old Palestinian boy. So we definitely are trying to create more awareness around the other Palestinian child detainees, because it's not just Ahad, it's 400 Palestinian children who are being detained illegally.
Absolutely. What are you doing as the WITS Palestinian Solidarity Committee to be able to, besides raise the awareness, but to make the difference for these children, as you've mentioned?
We're working with Tusan Shamsan currently at Constitution Hill, where we have an exhibition up called I Am Ahad. And the campaign has created this exhibit to get students and to get the public involved, where they can come through and take photos of themselves for the campaign in order to raise awareness and solidarity for Ahad, and write messages of support which they can put up, and then those messages will be sent through to Ahad and to her family. In terms of WITS and in our involvement with the Israeli Apartheid Week that is coming up now in March, on the 12th from the 6th to the 16th of March, we're working with UCT, UWC and Stellenbosch University to create events around the child prisoner issue in Palestine, to create awareness and to get students involved with us so that we can try to create change on the ground and raise awareness and funds for Palestine.
For many of us that are not aware about the campaign or Ahad Tamimi or Shamsan, you mentioned that there's the event taking place at Con Hill. I know the first launch event took place already. How long will this exhibition be available for the community to attend?
It's running for the duration of February.
Okay.
So whoever wants to go, it's open, it's free of charge. You can walk through the exhibition. There's photos of Ahad up, as well as her cousin Jana Jihad, who is the youngest Palestinian child journalist. Yes. As well as other Palestinian child detainees. So I think seeing those photos will help, mobilize people to try to create more active change.
Absolutely. I think, like I was saying to Iman during the ad break, we don't realize the reality of what the Palestinians are living with until you actually see it, and that will only give you a glimpse of it for a few moments. It won't even tell you how they live their lives on a daily basis. But it was surreal having to see the checkpoints, the guns, going through so much, and you realize what people are doing on a daily basis. So I take my hat off to you and your organization for trying to make a difference and to actually let them know that there's people who care about them and are willing to support them and stand by them. because that was the one thing that came out so strongly from them, was saying we need to know that there are people who still care, that no one has given up on us.
Definitely. I think no small change is it's always going to make a difference, whether
Absolutely.
it's big or small. And it's so encouraging when we get messages in from youth in Palestine, congratulating us and thanking us for whatever awareness we try to raise. Just now with Ahed's case was actually supposed to happen on the 31st of January on her birthday, and with all the international support flooding in for her, and all the events that were created around trying to conscientize people about her case, that the Israeli military actually decided to postpone her court hearing, and it's so far been postponed twice. So that in itself is an achievement for us.
Absolutely, because I think what happens is, we often say, oh, what difference does it make? But the truth of it is, it makes a huge difference. We can sit in our armchairs and do absolutely nothing, or we can end up being like the youth, raising our voices, making a difference. And that does impact, because once media attention is on it, the sense of justice is heightened, and the need to actually do right by it on a public platform is there. So it makes a massive difference.
Yes,
what is currently happening in Ahad Tamimi's case?
So her case has been postponed now twice. They're looking to have it in the next couple of weeks, and from there we'll be able to see what will occur. Right now they're looking at sentencing her to 15 years in prison. And her lawyer is trying to push for her to get released on bail, because right now she's sitting in an Israeli detention center in solitary confinement, as well as her mom, Nariman, who's also being held.
You see, and many of us are not aware fully of the details of the case, which is why people like Iman will always be there to share it on platforms for us. Iman, what do we do going forward? I know the Palestinian Solidarity Committee will have its work cut out for it long term as well. But with this case, how are we able to help you to raise the awareness for the Ahad Tamimi campaign and for any of the children that are in prison?
So right now we have a campaign going called the Miranda Rights Campaign, which we are asking the public to take photos of themselves with their hands covered over their mouth, or with their keffiyeh covered over their mouth, in line with Ahed's Miranda rights to do so, where that stipulates that she has the right to remain silent, and she has chosen to remain silent while in prison. So we're asking the public to take these photos so that they can create solidarity and support for Ahed.
Okay, and what are the hashtags for that, so that people who are doing it, or we'll build up the social media profile who want to do it, what are the hashtags they need to tag on that?
Free Ahad Tamimi, I am Ahed, and free all Palestinian child prisoners.
And inshallah, that alone will make a huge difference, and the reach will be huge enough for that as well. And that's something I think all of us can do. It's the least we can do. Please make sure you do that. Find Iman on Instagram, I'm sure, and tag her in it as well, so that she can repost and make sure those pictures of yours get to where they need to be going. I'll make sure I do mine as well.
Thank you.
Iman, for you on a personal basis, I know this is something you're very passionate about, and something that you are also in the field of studying as well. Where do you see yourself going for yourself in the next few years?
I think I'd definitely like to get involved in some type of work that allows me to still be active. So I think journalism. I'd love to be on the ground and trying to make a change, whether it's in Palestine or in South Africa, because there's so many issues that we have to deal with ourselves.
And I think that's remarkable, because many of us underestimate the power of the pen.
Yes.
And as a journalist, you literally get to change narratives and to rewrite stories and to actually show the truth for what it is.
Definitely.
So with the Conhill, I just have to go back to this quickly. With Ahad Tamimi's campaign at Conhill, that's going to have access for us in Johannesburg. What about people that are out of Johannesburg? Will this be an exhibition that will be traveling through South Africa or reaching other parts, or will be replicated in other cities?
So in Cape Town, they're having banner drops weekly, which people can get involved in. They can access the Tucson Shamsan page and find out ways to get involved in Cape Town if you're living in the area. In KZN, Nadia, the coordinator for Shamsan, she's looking to do school visits where she's going around and educating the youth about Ahed's case and about the child prisoner case. So in that way you can get involved through that. There are banners that we've created, and these photos that we've created, including in the exhibition that will be circulating around. And so just keep an eye out on our social media on how you can get involved.
And students in Johannesburg, in schools, because we have a lot of people who have younger kids who are watching this, if they want to get their kids involved, or if organizations want to get involved, do they contact you directly, or do they contact, who's their point of call?
They can contact the Two Sons Shamsan page directly, and we'll be able to get into contact with them through there. Our email address is freechildprisoners@gmail.com, so they can contact us on there. They can send their kids to the exhibition, which will be open for the duration of the month, as well as come through to FITS during our IW week to see what we'll be having there.
Very quickly, because I know we're getting to the end of the segment, tell us quickly about IAW week that's coming up and the dates of it, and what do we have planned?
Israeli Apartheid Week is from the 12th of March to the 16th of March. So Monday to Friday. We'll be hosting events throughout the week. They're still in the process of being confirmed. We are working with UWC, UCT and Stellenbosch, PSE and PSFs to create a campaign around the general theme around the Free Palestinian Child Prisoners campaign, where we'll be getting in speakers and hosting events and cultural days so that students can come in, see what's it about and get involved.
Fantastic. May you have every success in the work that you're doing, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open every door for you, because I think the stand you're taking is really courageous, and one that is filled with besides courageousness, bravery and dignity and the giving of hope. And I think there's nothing better that we can give to other people than that of hope. So may you always be blessed for what you do.
Ameen. Jazakallah.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Me.
These remarkable youth are standing up for atrocities. This is not about religious wars. This is not about areas. This is talking about what is right, what is fair, what is justice. Do follow them. The Two Sons Shamsan campaign that is run by Nadia Mir is remarkable. The students have joined up forces with her and are making sure that the voices of Ahad Tamimi and the other 400 nameless children will never go nameless. They will always be heard, because as long as these youth leaders are standing up and saying something, those words will always resonate and will always make us conscious of something that we need to do, even if it means we need to stand up and take a picture. It's the least we can do. Don't forget to remember them all in your du'as. Jazakallah so much to our prolific guests for joining us in studio. It's been a wonderful kickstart to this year to find out what we can do and to make us more conscious and mindful of every single thing that we do. Have a wonderful week ahead. I look forward to seeing you in studio next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام